Hey everyone, it's Madison James, and yes, we are shining a light on pink. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we've been highlighting some amazing stories, and we're going to highlight Melissa's story, who's joining me today. Melissa, tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. Able to show how or exhibit how women my age deal with the announcement of breast cancer. Back in January of 2018, during a routine mammogram, because of family history, they noticed a lump. Through a 3D mammogram, not the traditional diagnostic, but a 3D. Doctor was very concerned, sent me to a specialist, and that specialist called on January 19th, 2018, to tell me that I had been diagnosed with ductal carcinoma in situ, DCIS. The stage was 0. My stomach fell to my pit. My stomach just fell to my pit of my stomach. How do I tell a mother of an only child who just lost her husband that her daughter now has breast cancer?
Now, were you by yourself? Did you get a phone call, or was it right after your 3D mammogram when the radiologist looked at it, was like, we need to sit down and have a talk? How was that? And were you by yourself?
So the call came on a Friday afternoon at 5:30. My mother was actually visiting me. I'm whispering in the bathroom, talking to this person. I see the number pop up, and I'm whispering in the bathroom. They're telling me this. I'm trying not to cry. And then their words were, it's stage 0. You should be grateful for that.
That's interesting. Cancer. I'm not sure. Yeah. Sometimes bedside man, I get it. But no one wants that phone call, period. Right. No one even wants a phone call that, hey, we need to come back and get a closer look. We're not really sure. Like, no one wants a return phone call, period. Right. So how was that with your mental? Like, that's a lot for them to go, by the way, it stays 0, you're good. But stage 0 can also progress. So that is a first. That is very interesting to me.
Didn't know anything about stage 0. But I also didn't have the time to educate myself. I am one of those, again, I mentioned I was the only child. So I went into survival mode, as you and I have discussed before. What do I need to do to get my treatments, continue with life, because I need to thrive through this next chapter. But I also need to thrive for my mother. And that was the biggest thing, trying to tell her that and navigate my own health. I put myself aside, even through treatments, to make sure she was okay.
And a lot of ladies do that same thing. I'm not saying you forget about yourself, but you're worried about everyone else around. It's almost like you can't really comprehend what is actually happening till after. So you are currently on tamoxifen. So how was that? And then we're almost at the end of that. So I know
I finished.
Yes,
I finished.
Talked about it. Okay.
I completed that tamoxifen journey, and then the fear comes in again. Now that you finished this treatment, what did you do? What can you do differently so that you don't end up with another cancer diagnosis? Because it does come back sometimes. So now it's just being more conscious of my social habits. Stress is so important. They talk about stress and high blood pressure and the silent killers, but it's also, in my opinion, the silent initiator of infection or cancer to develop in your inside. And that stress manifests into an ailment.
So what would you share? Because everyone's stories, all these stories, we're putting a spotlight on it, because when someone's watching this, I want them to go, wait a minute, I can relate, I can understand. Because Melissa, you're fairly young. I mean, you were a professional living your best life.
Yeah.
So how does that translate now to, I don't want to use the word advice, but some things now that you would be like, wow, I wish I took a beat to pause and I would have done some things differently, or things that I don't want to say all, but some medical professionals don't don't give the information. They just kind of get into let's tackle this mode, and then a lot of women after the fact are going, I wish I'd known this. I wish I'd known that. I didn't know I needed to harvest my eggs, or this, that, and the third. Can you share with that before you even start your treatment?
So even with that, 40s, right? You think you have the whole world ahead of you, but time waits for no one. And I came from an employer where I could have gone through IVF and harvest my eggs, but I kept saying, I got time, I got time, I got time. And I've always wanted to be a mother. And with this, I just said, I don't have time. I have to get this treatment started so that I continue living. And I would tell my better self to slow down and explore your options. Don't, I'm a very faithful woman. So I had the faith in my physicians, my treatment care team, but I didn't have faith in myself to stop and pause and breathe and say, okay, can I put this off for a certain period of time? Because again, I had stage 0. I didn't have metastatic. I didn't. And as that nurse practitioner said that day, you should be okay because it's stage 0. I didn't hear that. So I would say taking a pause, looking at my options for freezing of embryos so that I can or could become a mother. And who's to say nothing is ever, a physician's final word is not their final word, because again, I'm a woman of faith, so I always believe in God. And I also know that I can be a mother in other ways, which is adoption, bonus mom, and I had to embrace that. And part of my treatment with that was going through counseling. And that's something too that I didn't do in terms of grieving, but I started through my cancer treatments, which helped me on the other side.
That's very true. And you talk about, your mental health is so important. How did you, because everyone is like we're spotlighting, has different journeys. How did you navigate that with friends and family who meant the world? I'm going to steal a term from Maggie, and you can see her story. Her story is in week 2 with my group of women with metastatic breast cancer. She says there's a thing called toxic positivity, which people mean well, but it's like not dealing with the reality of what you're facing ahead. So how do you navigate through that when people are like, oh, you'll be fine? Yes, stage 0. We know you're going to be fine, but I shouldn't say just for stage 0, you're going to be fine. You still got cancer in stage 0. You're probably going to be on that.
Right.
Is it, we don't want it to come back, but that is a part of your reality. That is possible. So how do you navigate that with individuals who now, oh, Melissa's fine. Yeah, I'm fine now, but I mean, I'm living my
Right.
life, but
Let me tell you, that negative toxicity did not occur till after my treatments. And the reason
say
why is
what?
because, right, I put my guard up. There were only
Okay.
certain people I let into that circle of what was going on with me. I had in my waiting room the day of my surgery a sales associate who became like a sister, who also went through a breast cancer journey and
Okay.
lost her father a couple of years before I did. We met because when I got that diagnosis, I went shopping. I went to Saks and bought me some Chanel pumps. Okay.
Hey, we all
So
we all we all handle it in different ways. But Melissa, I know you about to go shopping, so I
I'm
ain't
going to
mad at
buy
I am
something
not
to make me feel
mad at that purchase.
and so in that waiting room, I had her because I could trust in her because she shared her journey with me. To my mom, to godmother, it was a room full of people. And that was my tribe. That was my village. Some people that when they were taking me to the car woke up like, how did you get here? From my church. That village kept me wanting to go through this, and I knew I wasn't alone. It was through their prayers and love that I didn't have to face that toxicity, right? To get in your mind. Because when it gets in your mind, again, it gets into your spirit. But they kept me going, and they still do to this day. And of course, the people who found out afterwards, when October came to do these walks and these races, well, why didn't you tell me? I would have been there. Well, see, that was the response I didn't need.
Because look, I can say stuff y'all ain't gonna say. If we were cool, then you would have known.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna
Exactly.
say. If you were checking in, if you were doing those things, and I get some people are extremely, extremely, extremely private. But if you get to know somebody, you can kind of sense,
Yeah.
something's not right, or just calling and checking in where you might be pouring in and you don't realize, that you are till afterwards, when someone shares that they have gone through something. So, Melissa, now that you have finished with your tamoxifen treatment, I know you're like, I am done with that goddamn pill. Besides shopping, which you can shop now, what are some things that what are some things that you can share with some ladies that were helpful to you and still helpful to you to this day?
Again, keeping that village that you can say, you know what, I have my mammogram coming up. Will you go with me, or just call and check on me afterwards? That village is important. Diet and exercise, what you take in, even to music, what you take in can really mess with your psyche. And then also, from my journey, I had other close friends who either went through a journey before me or afterwards. And we've kind of bonded in sharing what works, what doesn't. We have this blanket that we send no matter what the cancer is. It doesn't have to be breast cancer, but it's a comfort blanket that one of my friends still has. So it's that, I wouldn't call it, it's a sisterhood. It's not the right kind of sisterhood that some people want to be members of.
Right.
But it helps you along the way. And knowing that your story can help someone else. Because right now, cancer has no age barrier.
That is very true. Because you are Melissa is in the medical field. She is a medical representative. So you probably see it day in and day out. Like it unfortunately, cancer doesn't discriminate.
Right. And I had to learn during that time as well to not put on that healthcare or medical hat. I had to be a patient. But yeah, I got so many tricks about what to take during radiation, and you share those. And journaling was a big piece of that too.
Well, you're on the other side of it. You're thriving. So glad, yay, we're done with the tamoxifen treatment, which for some of you, if you're not familiar with it, it's now I'd say more a common drug that's used for treatment. It's been out for some time, but you have to be on that for 5 years.
Yes.
So that's a lot too to wrap your mind around. Taking this medication for 5 years, and you're on the other side of it. Melissa is thriving. She's living her best life. And I just appreciate you coming in and sharing your story and sharing with people. If you do get that phone call, it's not over.
Correct.
It's not over. You still got more work to do. You still got more time to be here with your friends, and who knows, your journey will not, who knows, your journey will help. It will help somebody else and you don't even realize. even realize.
And thank you for always taking the month of October to shine a light on us. Because
I tell them, y'all are 365 days of the year. But we'll put the light for 30, but do know we shine in it for 365 days of the year. And I'm just glad again that you shared your story, and you are part of an amazing tribe of women. No, it's not exactly the group people want to be a member of, but if you happen to be, it is an amazing group of women that will be lifelong friends.
Yep, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, for spotlighting, letting us spotlight your story and shining a light on pink.
Have a good one.